welcome to Newsmakers. I'm your host, Nancy Lewis. Today we're going to be talking about infrastructure and entrepreneurship in Kansas City. We're here today at the Royals Hall of Fame, and I'm lucky to be with Kansas City Councilwoman Heather Hall. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me, Nancy.
So let's start talking a little bit about infrastructure. You know, it's on the long list of topics that people find sexy and great to talk about. Usually infrastructure is not one of those.
That's
so
right.
How do you get people excited about it, get people to want to spend money on something like infrastructure?
Well, you know, the infrastructure is the foundation of the city. So when you have a good foundation and you have a great base to your city, then people want to be here. People want to be in a city that isn't crumbling and that is full of life and vitality. And the way that happens is by first having good roads and sidewalks and bridges and curbs and things that you don't ever really think about or see. It's sort of like insurance. You don't know you have it, but when you need it, you're really glad that you do.
Right. So how does that get paid for in Kansas City, and do we have enough money to get the job done?
Sure. Well, you know, that's where most of our dollars are supposed to go, to the basic services. So when our taxpayers do pay their money, they're expecting us to keep their city functioning. And so that's why I say the things that Kansas City wants first is the stuff that isn't so sexy. It is the foundational things, and those are the things that we have to do first, and then we can spend the money on the fun stuff that people can see more readily.
One of those things that is so important, and when you talk about making a city livable, it's certainly at the top of the list, is safety.
Right. And that goes hand in hand with infrastructure is the public safety. I believe those two things are intrinsically tied together, because what happens is if you don't have a safe community, people don't want to raise their families in those communities, and then people will move away, and then we have more problems because we don't have the funding then to fund the infrastructure. So it's kind of a, you know, you need one and then you need the other. And Kansas City is very fortunate. We have an extraordinary police force and a fire department that work so well together to keep our citizens safe. We just had the St. Patrick's Day parade yesterday, and I tell you what, we had a great city. They turned out well, and they were safe, and they were well behaved, everybody, and then the police did exactly what they were supposed to do in keeping us safe, and that's a goal.
And historically, Kansas Cityans have been pretty good at supporting safety, public safety with their tax dollars.
Yes, public safety tax does definitely support the police and the fire, and in fact that's something that's very important to me, not only supporting the police to give them the tools they need to keep us safe, but the firefighters. You know, we have a really hard time with our response times right now in Kansas City because we're spread so thin. When you have a city that's 319 square miles, that's a lot of area to cover when you're a police officer or a firefighter to get to those emergencies. So what we are doing is right now we're working on building a new fire station in my district, in District 1, that should be open in the next 2 years that will actually help reduce the response times so that people will be served in a better, more safe and speedy environment.
We have just about a minute left, but I want to talk for a second about what we are doing to attract small business. So in less than a minute.
Well, you know, Kansas City, we pride ourselves on being so entrepreneurial in spirit. We have people, you know, like the Kaufmans and like other people in this city who have done amazing things to bring industry and business to Kansas City, which then of course brings jobs. And that's what we want. We want the people who live here to have the opportunity to create a business, to thrive, to have a permit and tax process that seems very fair and equitable so they can stay in business for many years. And also we want to be able to give them the tools they need to be successful, and we have so many organizations here in Kansas City like the Kaufman Foundation and other organizations who really help us do that. And in my district in the North End, we do a lot of things for small businesses to attract them, to keep them in our city.
Well, we'll have to talk about that next time.
I would love that.
All
Thank
right.
you so much. So nice
to
see you.
Here,
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. We hope to see you next time on Newsmakers.